I'm Stephen, USSR Robinson, and you're watching Sport Icons. Papa!
Right, so the juggernaut Joyce, now 13-0, has stopped Carlos Takam in round number 6 with the referee jumping in. Now, we're going to talk about that stoppage in a second. Now, firstly, of course, I think maybe Joyce may have been a victim of the Deontay Wilder situation. He wore that helmet down to the ring. I think maybe it drained his legs because his performance was awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. His performance was very, very woeful. It really was. I thought that Joyce, he looked very, very slow, very plodding. His fighting style is even more tight now than what it was, meaning that his elbows are in at the waist. And for me, that if your elbows are always there, that restricts you being able to block and parry shots that come through. I think he's concerned about body shots. I think that's what it is. But for me, I thought that Joyce, that was a terrible performance. Listen, I wanted Joyce to win. Of course, he's a Brit. Of course, I support Joyce. But I have to be brutally honest. I can't sugarcoat anything for you because for me, even though that this fight was stopped in round number 6, so of course we had 5 rounds previous, I gave Joyce one clear round out of that lot. You could argue that maybe Joyce got 2 rounds. For me, I'm not having that he won any more than that. But I think that it was particularly the first round. The first round for me was quite hard to score. But at the same time, I'm sure a lot of people probably giving that first round to Carlos Takam because he was landing some big shots. But Carlos Takam, he seemed to fade from round number 3. I will say that much. He looked like he was tiring. But I think that's because he was just throwing big shots. And they were landing on Joyce. And I know there's been like a lot of talk leading up to this fight because Joyce has been managed to put into a situation of WBO mandatory. Why? Because he's a Frank Warren fighter. But I think that maybe his head's been turned. There's been a lot of people. And I do criticise the media as well. When they talk to fighters, it's always about, well, what's next before you've done the next job. But reporters have, of course, been talking to him about fighting the winner of Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, and whatever. Now, for me, when you look at it, I know Joyce, he's saying that he hopes and he believes that Anthony Joshua will beat Alexander Usyk, then he'd like to fight Anthony Joshua. Now, is that a reality? Probably not. There's lots more boxing politics, which I've already spoken about before. But I think that based on this performance tonight, Anthony Joshua gets him out of there very, very early. Very early. Of course, this is boxing. Joyce, he will train, his training camp and his game plan for fight night will be different against Anthony Joshua as to what it was with Carlos Takam, how it was with Darren Dubois, and so forth. That would be a fair point, but I think just based on that performance, I think that Joyce will get iced. Yes, he's got a very good chin, but that chin will only take you so far. It won't be long before somebody hits the button. Everyone's got a button, everybody. I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are, how tough you are, how strong your chin is. You've got a button, and somebody's got to land on that button. If he fought Anthony Joshua tonight, he gets blitzed. If he fought Dillian Whyte tonight, he gets blitzed. If he fought Deontay Wilder tonight, he gets blitzed. If he fought maybe a Derek Chisora even, arguably, he may have come unstuck. Arguably. But either way, of course, I'm happy Joyce, he got the win. Now, what I will say is that his defence is very, very leaky. And I don't mean to be overly critical of this one, by the way. And I know some people will be saying, oh, what a great fight. I know Frank Warren, he's been talking about, oh, what a great fight. You know, Carlos Takam, he comes to fight. We all know how tough he is and whatever else. And of course, it's true. But again, people like Frank Warren and other people, and that, of course, were criticising Dillian Whyte, him fighting Povetkin. Now, Povetkin is 1 year older than Takam, and he knocked out Carlos Takam. And Dillian Whyte won every single round against Povetkin in both fights. Of course, the first fight ended with Dillian Whyte getting knocked out. But he won every single round in both of the fights. Every single round. So if you're going to criticise Dillian Whyte against Povetkin, are you the same people who criticise Dillian Whyte but maybe praising Joyce for fighting Carlos Takam? Let's be real about it, okay? Yeah, Carlos Takam is 40 years old, but he looked 40 years old tonight. He really did. He started off great. From round number 3, no, unfair. Maybe round number 4, you could see that he was starting to really fatigue. You could see it. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that it kind of took Joyce another couple of rounds to get him out of there, really. I really am. But the stoppage. So Carlos Takam, he comes out for round number 6. He gets caught by a left hook. He goes stumbling backwards. Of course, his legs are all over the place. And of course, he's in defensive mode. The gloves come up. He's in defensive mode, trying to get out of the way. Joyce is just throwing bombs at him. Not too much is actually landing, to be fair, but still, not much is coming back from Carlos Takam. So, of course, when the referee stepped in, was it early? It's arguable. It is arguable because not much was landing, but I think it was just, he was literally one punch away from going. So I can't argue with the stoppage too much, but again, is it a premature stoppage based on the fact that this is the same referee that when Lewis Ritson, the towel came in, he was the one who threw the towel back out of the ring. So it's arguable. It is arguable. But either way, I mean, Joyce was always going to win tonight. There's no way he was going to lose. But his performance tonight was very, very subpar. And I say that as a fan of Joyce because I know he's better than that. He is much better than that. But I think that Joyce, his performance was very, very flat. I don't want to hear nobody saying about inactivity. I mean, he fought during lockdown against Daniel Dubois. So it's not like he's inactive compared to most fighters. Just that I think maybe, arguably, maybe he took Carlos Takam a bit too lightly. Maybe. Carlos Takam is very, very tough. But again, for those of you who watched Carlos Takam's last fight on Top Rank show, Takam looked terrible against that somewhat gatekeeper journeyman. He didn't look very good. But against Joyce, he looked pretty good. Now I know Carlos Takam, he looked very upset with the referee stopping it, but for me, that's just these warrior talking. For me, I can agree with the stoppage, but I can also understand those who say that maybe the fight shouldn't have been stopped in that particular moment. Should have given Carlos Takam every chance that he possibly could, because obviously it's heavyweight boxing, you never know. But at the same time, he wasn't really in a great position where he was going to go on and win the fight. He weren't going to win the fight. And you could see that as soon as that left hook landed in the opening round, at the very opening of round number 6, again, Carlos Takam, he kept rubbing his face all night. Now I know he does this for most of his fights anyway, but he was doing it a lot. He kept rubbing his eyes all the time, kept rubbing his eyes. He's like a nervous twitch or something. I don't know what it is. He's like a reset like Tyson Fury does. I don't really know what that was. That did look a little bit weird. But either way, are we going to blame the helmet on Joyce for weighing down his legs? Maybe that's what made him look a little bit methodical in the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Yeah, let's go with that one, shall we? Maybe Carlos Takam's team spiked his water or something like that, eh? Anyway, drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.